are we that we have the same ancestors as present day, let's say, chimps?
Okay, brilliant question. All I'm going to do in this show, inshallah, God willing, is show the popular narrative, which is it is as certain as planetary motion, as certain as the planets going around the sun, that we are certain this has happened, because this is the sort of certainty that Darwinists speak with.
Okay.
And I'm going to show in the...
Are you challenging that certainty?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm going to show the academics, not me,
right,
say it is based on a probabilistic framework, which has multiple assumptions which are being challenged, and its core concepts are disputable.
So are you saying that what's happening on a popular level is completely different from what's going on in the academic world?
Absolutely, and this is not just something which I'm pointing out. This is something that even the British government understands, that the academia is... what's known in academia hasn't filtered down to the general masses, which is why they run projects to narrow the gap.
Right.
But what I would say, when it comes to Darwin's particular theory, Richard Dawkins in The Blind Watchmaker says Darwin allowed us to be intellectually satisfied atheists. Before Darwin, it could have been tenable to be an atheist, but he allowed us to be intellectually satisfied atheists. So because of that, we've got a deliberate campaign by humanists, by atheists, by Darwinists to miseducate the public on this particular issue.
Sounds quite conspiratorial, Sabor. I mean,
it does.
I mean, is it just what you're saying, or is there some people from like an academic perspective that have also made the same kind of claim?
Well, what you'll find, and this is very, very interesting, is that mainstream secular academics who are themselves
like who? Like,
atheists, for example, James Shapiro, he is a Cambridge-educated evolutionary biologist at the University of Chicago, and he basically says that it's a religion. Lynn Margulis, she's again an atheist evolutionary biologist. Her end symbiotic theory is taught in every single university.
Did she get a prize of some sort?
She did. She won the National Medal of Science, and Bill Clinton gave that to her. So again, she's an atheist. She called it an Anglo-Saxon sect. Masatoshi Nai, who is a don in population genetics, a subfield of evolutionary biology, again another atheist. So he's got these formulas which are taught at an academic level in libraries across the world. He has said Darwin, and he doesn't believe in Darwin's mechanism, he believes in his own mutation-driven evolution. He says Darwin in our field is God, so you can't challenge him. So these are atheist evolutionary academics saying this is way more than science. Right? And one other thing which is very, very important, just a few months ago, there's a book published by Oxford University by an atheist evolutionary biologist called Darwinism as Religion. So he wasn't a biologist, he was a philosopher of science, Michael Roos. And what he argues in that book is that Darwin's theory is a valid scientific theory, but it has morphed into a full-out religion. Not religion that believes in God, but a religion nonetheless.
Okay, let's get straight into the question I posed to you in the beginning of this session. We talked about certainty in terms of evolutionary theory. You're saying it's not as certain as evolutionists, or let's say even popular atheists, are making it out to be. So what is your evidence of that?
Okay, all of the people I'm going to reference in this video are people that you can go check up, learn, and you can actually find out that what I'm saying is based on what they're saying. So first off, if we pick up any book on the philosophy of biology, philosophy of biology is a subfield in which, if you imagine a biologist is studying organisms, and a philosopher of biology is studying biologists. How do they come to conclusions? So a basic book on this is Evidence in Evolution by Cambridge University, by the philosopher of biology Elliot Sober, who's an atheist. And what he says in this book is this: Darwinian evolution is based on a probabilistic framework, and he talks about the multiple assumptions which are there. Likewise, we have Peter Godfrey Smith, another philosopher of biology. He published a book with Princeton University called Philosophy of Biology. He speaks about biologists are moving away from the tree of life, which we've been told is a fact, to a web of life. So mainstream secular, and these two individuals are atheists, mainstream secular universities and individuals and academics admit to three facts: probabilistic framework, multiple assumptions which are being challenged, and its core concepts are disputable.
Let's stick with 2 and 3, because 1 might be claimed to be not a problem. I mean, everything in a sense is probabilistic, right?
Yeah, sure. But what we need to be careful about is this. Remember the narrative they're telling us. They're telling us it's as clear, it's a no-brainer, it's as clear as planetary motion. That's not probabilistic, that's an observation. So that's a very big claim. So probabilistic framework is something which automatically lowers that certainty that they're talking about.
Okay. Some would say, though, I mean, we're talking about probabilistic framework. We don't have a problem with that. 2 and 3 you mentioned some of the major assumptions, like you're going to probably go into homology or something like this.
Well,
right?
Before we move on to homology, what we need to realize is this.
Yeah.
Number one, Darwin and the way that he framed his theory,
yeah.
and the way that he propagated it,
yeah.
he did it in, I believe, a very honest way.
Yeah.
And I believe he was a very hardworking scientist, and many of his works have been misrepresented.
Okay.
For example,
right.
if you pick up a book on evolutionary biology today, a book about Darwinian evolution, like The Greatest Show on Earth,
right.
or Jerry Coyne's Evolution is True, you're just going to get, this theory is true, here's why it's true, here's why it's true, X, Y, Z.
Okay.
But if you pick up The Origin of Species, you find that Darwin, right in the beginning, he says something very, very important.
Okay.
He says, you can use the facts that I have in my book to come up with conclusions which are opposite to mine, because he understands the philosophy of science. And the philosophy of science teaches us, one, you can have you can have observations in the future which can challenge your previous conclusion,
right.
the black swan problem induction. Two, you can always have the same data giving rise to multiple theories. Later on in chapter 6 of his book, he speaks about the problems with his own theory. Now look at the honesty of the man.
Yeah.
He puts together a theory, and he puts together a chapter about the problems with his theory, and he tries to iron them out, and he admits some of these problems are insolvable, some of these problems are more apparent than real, but I still think my theory is correct. But one thing that he says in his book, if this fails, his theory fails according to him, which is gradualism. That the variations that take place and evolution works at a gradualistic pace. He said, if this fails, then my theory will absolutely break down.
Mm-hmm.
And evolutionary biologists today understand that gradualism has largely failed.
And is this